free agency is for the most part done. Bunch of trades have happened. So now it's time to take a reality check.
Yeah.
What are some realistic landing spots for some of these rookie running backs? We've already made a video for Kenneth Walker and Breece Hall. So I'll link that here if you want to watch that first. We're now going to look at 3 other running backs, Isaiah Spiller, Jerome Ford, and Rachaad White. Just making sure. So we're going to look at realistic landing spots for these guys. And Badake, I think it just has to be said beforehand. We have mentioned this on many streams, but the more that free agency went on and the more that these teams who were running back needy filled their spots, like Miami, Kansas City, we argued, a bunch of other teams, there's less and less teams that are natural fits for some of these running backs. So it's going to be an interesting conversation. And I have argued that I think most of the running backs outside of the top 2 are going to go after the 3rd round. Some of them probably in the 4th round. So this is going to be an interesting conversation. Let's talk about Isaiah Spiller. To be clear, this is really difficult for us because it's been our opinion that Spiller was way overhyped from day one. From day one of our scouting process back in December, he just didn't stand out to us. We weren't excited about Isaiah Spiller. We still don't see what a lot of you guys in the community see. And I think the NFL is starting to cool off on him. I mean, based off of mock drafts aren't directly from GMs, but a lot of these guys have insight to certain teams, and it's a little more realistic than we expect. Okay, so this is genuinely where I think the NFL is at right now with Isaiah Spiller. I find it really hard to see him being a 2nd round pick with the questions that we had on film, with the questions that weren't answered at his combine. I find it. I don't think he's helped his stock this offseason. I don't think he's going to be a 2nd round pick. But let's talk about it. Give me some realistic landing spots and where that pick would happen.
Yeah, so once again, this was really tough. I've really tried to dive deep and really understand which team needs a running back. So for me, I have 3 realistic landing spots. The Houston Texans in the 3rd round, the Saints in the 4th round, and then the Falcons. These are all different rounds, mind you. And the Falcons in the 2nd round. And these are all hypotheticals these are all based on if Kenneth Walker doesn't go to either the Texans or the Falcons. Okay, because I think there's a big gap. We always say this all the time. There's a big gap when it comes down to the running backs. And I think the NFL could say that maybe he is the 3rd, 4th, quote unquote best runner. Not in our eyes, but I think in the NFL, in the NFL's eyes, he's probably the 3rd best, maybe 4th best running back out there for me or for them right now.
Okay, yeah. So I had the Atlanta Falcons at round 2, pick 58. The Texans as well. I don't know I think you said that right. Round 3, pick 68. I'm going to throw 2 other wild cards out there that I think, because here's the deal. I personally don't see Spiller landing in a spot and becoming the workhorse. Like, I don't think he necessarily lands in a situation where they're a running back needy team. Do you know what I mean? Like, technically, the Denver Broncos weren't a running back needy team last year, and it just doesn't always pan out like that. So how about the Arizona Cardinals in the 3rd round at pick 87?
Okay.
And the Tennessee Titans at round 3.
Getting rid of Henry soon, huh?
So let's talk about our ideal spot, and this will segue well into my ideal spot, which is the Tennessee Titans, our most likely landing spot. We're trying to be realistic here and play the realism card as much as we can. Yeah. So for me, round 3, pick 90 to the Tennessee Titans is, in my opinion, the most realistic spot. Now, there's so many we could point to, but let me just tell you why this could make sense. Okay, due to positional value, again, I just don't see this running back class is really top heavy with those top 2. I just don't think that Spiller's done enough to help his draft capital. So the Titans would get him in the 3rd round. You know, let's be honest. You're never going to replace Derrick Henry. Okay, that's not what this take is. This is not a let's replace Derrick Henry take, because there is no Derrick Henry out there except for Derrick Henry. However, you do need a plan B. Henry is 28 years old. There's 2 years left on that deal. And more importantly, his body is breaking down in front of us. And your offense in Tennessee is so centered around the run game, you need a legit backup. Because, yes, certain players filled in well last year, but the offense was different. It wasn't the same offense, and it's not going to be. But for me, you take the workload also off of Henry while he's healthy. So instead of 30 attempts per game, let's bring it down to 20 to 22, right? I mean, let's give Isaiah Spiller, let's say 5 to 8 carries within this offense as a backup. He's just 20 years old. He can learn under Derrick Henry, adapt his game, improve in different areas. He's not going to improve as an athlete. That's just natural God-given ability. But he can improve as a player under Derrick Henry. So for me, I think the Titans make a lot of sense. Obviously this is not ideal for his immediate future because Derrick Henry's there. Henry's probably the starting running back for at least the next 2 years, but it's hard for me to find a team that is going to give him the reins from day one, day dot. I don't see that happening personally. So it's not ideal for a dynasty, but I think it's relatively realistic. What about you?
Okay, I honestly really have two realistic teams, and that's the Atlanta Falcons, like you said, at round 2. I think it was 82 or 85, and then the Texans at round 3 at 68. If I had to lean one, it'll probably be
58.
58, excuse me. No, Texans round 2, 58, right, for the Falcons, and then Texans round 3, 68. My ideal spot will probably be the Texans because he can learn and grow. This is a very young team and can get brought up. But I think the most realistic spot, I do believe, will probably be the Falcons because they'll get their weapons. They'll get the Garrett Wilson in the first, and then I think they have another pick in between that, and then get Isaiah Spiller at the late second, which kind of makes sense and probably feels a lot better. And then it's like, you know what, we have a young running back that doesn't necessarily need to be thrown all the workload right now because you still have Cordell Patterson and everyone else out there and Mike Davis out there. And let's not forget they have Marcus Mariota, who is an RPO guy who can take the ball and run the ball himself, where he's not going to get the extreme workload. Cordell Patterson, I assume, will still be in the backfield. So I think that's easy. Let him grow. And then once they get their quarterback, which everything is pointing to next year in 2023, Isaiah Spiller can take the range because then at that time, Mike Davis should be gone. Cordell Patterson should have more of a better role instead of playing this Swiss Army knife guy because you have...
He's getting old. He's 31.
Yeah, you have Garrett Wilson, you have a young Isaiah Spiller, and you have a quarterback, one of these young quarterbacks in the 2023 draft class. I think they'll have their pieces. They'll have the weapons, and then you invest in the offensive line later on down the road. So I think that makes sense for me.
Okay. Let me just, because I thought about the Falcons really hard, and I'm not saying it's the wrong landing spot at all, but can I just throw one scenario out there? Or just one thought maybe, just because I think it's a good conversation for us to have. Outside of the Texans, who is the team that has the most needs? And arguably, I would say maybe this team has the most needs, and I think that's Atlanta.
Absolutely.
So that's the only reason I think the fit makes sense. I just feel like they're going to maybe go running back later because those early round picks are just so important to team building. Like I definitely thought about the Falcons as well, but I just thought about that. I was like, man, I actually think this is the worst team roster wise in the NFL right now. I don't know if that's harsh to say, but I look at the Texans. I'm like, there's some pieces there that I like better. So, that's just a thought that I had.
I think we had to remember that, like the Matt Ryan trade. I can't remember the trade off the top of my head. I don't know if it was first or second. It was
the third.
The third. You can still get some good talent in the third. So they have. You can get some pieces or trade up or whatever the case may be. It might be a bit difficult.
I think they go running back. I just don't think they go running back in second round. Is I guess what I'm saying. But
yeah, that's fair.
Let's talk about Jerome Ford. So while we have Jerome Ford ahead of Spiller in our rankings, we both do. You have him as your RB2, actually. I have him as my RB3, right behind Kenneth Walker. It doesn't mean that he's going to be drafted ahead of Spiller. And I think we have to be realistic here. I honestly don't expect him to be drafted ahead of Spiller. I think the Spiller hype will carry him far enough to at least be drafted ahead of Jerome. I don't know if you see it the same way, but I don't see Jerome going off the board before the 4th round. I think that's probably the earliest that we see Jerome Ford. Okay. He could even slip into the 5th, in my opinion. So some landing spots that make sense. And again, at this part of the draft, guys, there is no perfect spot. And this is why we keep telling people, hey, be careful of drafting running backs so early in rookie drafts because there's not many good spots. I mean, wide receivers can come in and prove themselves, and there's 5 wide receivers on the field at one time.
Correct.
There's only one running back. So there's not going to be a perfect spot here, but I have 5 spots, Badake, that I think make a lot of sense. And I want to hear your thoughts, and maybe you have others. Baltimore Ravens, okay?
Interesting.
At round 4, 128, they have said openly that they would be willing to add to this running back room.
Okay.
Which scares me as a Dolphins owner. How about the Pittsburgh Steelers round 4 at 138? They need a legitimate backup to Najee Harris. And Najee Harris, unless they're just going to run him into the ground for only the rookie contract and they don't want to extend him, he can't take like 320 rushing attempts per year. Number 3, the Jets at round 5, 146. The Falcons in round 5 and the Seahawks in round 5. They have 2 fifth round picks there. So those are some teams that I wrote down. Is there any that I missed that maybe you see him going earlier? I think maybe more realistically he won't go that early.
Right. I see him going at least in the 4th round. If he does sneak, he'll probably sneak at the late 3rd. But the only other team I would like to add, because I see the Falcons, but I see him in the 4th round. But the other team that I can think of is the Miami Dolphins, and that is in the 3rd round.
Right.
That's I think the second last pick or the third to last pick.
That was one of those extra picks that they added on.
Yeah, sure. In the 3rd round that they can just have. And why not take a chance on Jerome Ford, because that was, like you said, that was one of those because they drafted, I guess, a minority coach. They got that extra pick in the 3rd round. I forgot the word, but why not? Why not take a chance on Jerome Ford? I guess when we talk about it, I know this backfield is crowded.
Yeah.
I know.
The only reason I didn't put Miami is because it feels like they're building speed, and Jerome Ford is not a speed guy, but maybe that's a complementary piece they need.
Exactly.
Like maybe that is what they need in this offense. We've talked about that. They need a big bruiser, so that could definitely work. Let's talk about most likely landing spots. So give me one spot that you think is the most likely for Jerome Ford.
Yeah, and that's the Miami Dolphins. I just go straight into it. I understand this backfield is crowded. You have Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds, and all these other young running backs that they have there. But I think all those guys will fall on special teams. Okay, Jerome Ford, I think, is a clear talent, more explosive, stronger, better running back than those other running backs on the Miami Dolphins. It just makes sense that he can go there. And let's not forget, I don't think that all those guys are going to make the team. I don't know. Maybe Raheem doesn't make the team. Maybe Myles Gaskin doesn't make the team. It depends on what his contract looks like. But I think Chase for sure. But I think there's an opportunity if Raheem cannot stay healthy once again. As much as Mike McDaniels loves Raheem, for sure. Maybe once again, why not take a chance? And we've seen what Jerome Ford can do, and he's a pass catching back. He may not have the speed, but you have the speed in Chase. So maybe Chase can be your first and down back, and then Jerome Ford can be the guy that can punch it in if you really need it, or vice versa. Jerome Ford can be the
50-50.
Yeah, he can be the guy that can be the first and second down, and Chase is a pass catching back. I think he can truly do both roles. It's just, like you said, it's just the speed. And I think it will be okay because they have so much speed everywhere. Not everyone has to have speed on your team, No,
I agree. I think it's a good compliment now that I think about it. However, I will advocate for Raheem and Chase. I don't think that they would be special team players just because those signings felt super intentional by Mike McDaniels. Do you know what I mean?
I agree.
So I don't know if that's what you meant by those two players.
I think of when I think of everyone else, I think of Dokes. Right. I think of is Ahmad.
Oh, right.
Right. Those guys that are gonna fall in there, and I think
Ahmed.
If the problem is the reason why I say that, I think the key thing is that can Raheem stay healthy? Because if he doesn't stay healthy, one of those guys is gonna have to pick up again.
Yeah,
and that's the tough part.
Yeah, I could see that happening for sure. But again, that's another spot wwhere we have to be realistic. It's not going to be good from day one. Like Chase has a 2-year contract. I mean, some of these spots aren't going to be ideal. So my most likely spot is the New York Jets at round 5, pick 146.
I'll be okay with that.
Yeah. So look, I had the Jets as a realistic landing spot for Breece Hall. And I keep saying this offseason. But as much as I love Michael Carter, it's really hard for me to believe that the Jets are looking at that running back position and they are completely satisfied with what they have there. Carter is a very good running back, but I don't think he is your running back room. I think there needs to be a piece with Carter there in New York. And if they don't go Breece in the 2nd round, I could imagine them taking a shot on one of these running backs later on. One of these guys who could really complement Michael Carter. And more teams are doing this running back duo backfield. If you think about it, to be honest, Austin Eckler is such an abnormal. What's the right word? Like he's just abnormal? He's not normal. Yeah. He's abnormal for today's game. Human. It's not normal for an undersized running back to get the workload. That doesn't happen. So
Right.
if we are predicting Michael Carter to be that doesn't happen, and the league is not moving towards that way. So Jerome Ford, Michael Carter could be a really good split backfield, 50-50. And while it's not ideal for fantasy, it greatly improves this Jets team, this Jets run game. I mean, I think that makes this a more complete run game, in my opinion, if Jerome's there. So if this happens, I wouldn't lower Jerome in my rankings based off this scenario, but he's not going to be a workhorse from day one. I don't expect him to be a workhorse anywhere he goes from day one. So he's still my running back 3 in the class. And like I've said before, outside of Hall and Walker, I don't think there are workhorse running backs here. I really don't. So I think it makes sense for him to go somewhere and be a part of a running back by committee. The last running back that we're going to talk about here is Rachaad White.
Oh man, this one's
okay.
This is
weirdly enough, Badake, I've been thinking about this. Weirdly enough, I feel slightly more confident that Rachaad White will go off the board before Jerome Ford in this year's draft.
Okay.
And I think the reason being is I expect GMs to be really enticed with how they could potentially use Rachaad in their offense. I mean, Antonio Gibson, for example, he was predicted to be a 4th round pick, maybe a 5th round pick. But Washington was so enticed by them. In the 3rd round, they said, you know what? We have a plan for this abnormal running back. Not status quo type running back. And I just think GMs in the NFL are going to be looking at him, and he is outside of the mold of all these other guys. So, there's a couple of people who can do similar things to him, but I just expect a GM to be enticed by him. Right. So I don't know if you see it the same way, but I think round 4 is really, really realistic for Jerome Ford, but he could go in the 5th as well. I'll give you some options. Okay.
Of Rachaad White, right? Okay.
Of a landing spot.
Okay.
Number 1, the Denver Broncos at at round 4, pick 115 or 116, and that he just becomes a good complementary piece to Javonte. Number 2, New Orleans at round 4, 120. I'll explain that in a second. The Chiefs at round 4, 121, and the Bears in the 5th round. Is there any landing spots that I missed, or do you see him going in a different round than I do?
I see him at that edge. Once again, those complimentary picks in the 3rd round, right there. If not, he will definitely fall to the 4th. I think there's no doubt about it. But I think those complimentary guys feel good. For me, is the Philadelphia Eagles at the 101 in the 3rd round.
Okay,
and then I see him going to the Cardinals. That feels comfortable going to the Cardinals in the 4th round or 5th round. I like that backfield and what they can do, kind of like with James Conner, and then having Rachaad White going there.
So give me one spot here. If you had to choose one spot, there's so many spots it could be, but what would it be right now?
The Eagles.
The Eagles?
It had to be the Eagles. I think that makes sense to me.
Okay. And any in particular reason why?
Oh, yes. I thought you were just saying. Absolutely. Look, I like the Eagles. Look, Miles Sanders is coming to the end. Not that he is that. Not of his career, but not of his career, but like of just his contract and everything that's happening with the Eagles. And this is going to switch it up. They have Kenneth Gainwell. They still have Jordan Howard. They have Miles Sanders. They need a change of pace. And not saying that Rachaad White is going to be that change of pace, but he's that guy that can switch it up. He can be that Swiss Army knife. One guy that we comped him to was Cordell Patterson, so he can play in the backfield and in the slot. This Eagles team needs more weapons, and the thought process that they're going to get a wide receiver early in the 1st, okay? And now you can try and get one of these running backs, these guys that can play, because I don't think the running game is necessarily important to them, especially with Jalen Hurts there right now. It doesn't feel that way. We saw that last year, especially in the dynasty perspective.
Or at least the running back position.
The running back position. So I think if Rachaad White can come in and be the complimentary guy on both ends, where they can use him on the outside and spread him outside, or in the backfield, I think he can come in and then switch it up. And we've seen it. His change of pace, he has really good long speed. It's not crazy. And then he's a good wide receiver in space. We always said that. He's a good pass catching back in space. So why not come in and switch it up?
All right. If I had one spot, I like that spot. Mine would be the New Orleans Saints in the 4th round, pick 120. And I understand why some people might be confused by this. But again, these spots, like I think sometimes in Dynasty, we just have this, oh my God, everyone's going to land in a perfect spot, which is not the case.
It's not the case.
And the Saints have had success drafting project/upside running backs in the past. How about Alvin Kamara, who went late 3rd in 2017? So they're not adverse to doing this type of move there. in the organization. So in the first round, again, doesn't make sense to me, but I think they're going to go O-line and wide receiver and ride with Jameis Winston. I could be wrong. But Alvin Kamara is getting closer to 27, has 4 years left on his deal, but it's always good to have a backup plan. Rachaad White is not Alvin Kamara. He'll probably never be Alvin Kamara.
Right.
But at least if Alvin Kamara has that suspension or if he gets injured, because he's had some injury issues in the past, then you at least can keep a similar game plan, right? Rachaad White is a similar type of player. So if this was to happen, the dynasty outlook, it's not ideal for a running back to land in a spot with a star, of course. Right. However, I would love this spot for dynasty because they've used multiple running backs on multiple different occasions. Okay. And all it takes is one injury or suspension for Rachaad to get his shot. And I think he could have a meteoric rise. I mean, we've seen the talent. We've talked about this. Yeah, he's not a natural running back, but Alvin Kamara wasn't really known as a natural running back either when he came in. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Okay. So those are the 3 running backs that we covered on today's video. Let us know. I mean, there's more that we could cover. You got Zamir White. You've got a bunch of other guys I can't even think off the top of my head.
Kyron Williams.
So many.
A bunch of other guys. I mean, that would really go. We really got to think about those guys if we really trying to get them.
Oh, my gosh. I know. Let us know if we should do those videos, a part 3 maybe, but comment down below your thoughts.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos.
Watch it.
You can also subscribe.
Right now.
If you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/fantasylandfam.